Come, Qubolo. Who can finish their tower first? Keep your opponent from making the perfect fit. Play Tetris and add a little bit of poker to the fun. A 3D logic game for 1 to 2 players. For 4 players, add a second set of the game. Playing time duration, 10 minutes. What do you need to play Qubolo? 30 building blocks of 6 different shapes. 4 base cards that determine the shadow outline shape of the tower for the game, 2 sets, 1 for each player. 2 concealing screens. 1 build card with 2 areas marked Next, Now, the next block to play, the current block to play. For the solitaire version, the block die, which determines the shape of the next block to play. How do you win, Qubolo? You win if you are the first to use your building blocks on your tower to create a complete level with a full, flat surface. You win if your opponent cannot place their next building block on their tower according to the rules for placing blocks. If the building blocks do run out, the winner is the player with the least number of blocks missing from their tower to finish the final level. Be careful. If you knock over your own tower, your opponent automatically wins. Prepare to Qubolo. Each player builds the same shape of tower using identical base cards. Put the base card in front of you and place the concealing screens around it so that you cannot see each other's towers. Place the Build Next Now card between you. Lay out all of the building blocks in a common area between you so that each player can reach them well. To start the game, select any building block for your opponent and place it on the base card where it is marked Next for them. Your opponent does the same for you. Play Qubolo. Each player determines the building block with which their opponent will build their tower on the next turn. Play continues in individual rounds, with each round having 4 simple steps. 1. Select 1 building block for your opponent. Your opponent selects 1 block for you. 2. Move the previous block from the next position to the now position on the opponent's side of the build card, and place the currently selected block on the next position, as your opponent does the same. 3. Each player takes the block from the now area on the build card and places it on their tower according to the building rules. See rules for placing blocks below. 4. If both players place their block on their tower and no one wins the game, the next round begins with step 1 again. Play continues until there are no more blocks left, or if one player has completed a full final level. See How Do You Win Qubolo? The game is also over if a player cannot place their next block on their tower according to the rules for placing building blocks below. When the game is over, players reveal their towers to the other. Rules for placing building blocks. You must place the building blocks covering only the defined shadow outline shape of the base card. Blocks may not extend outside the defined shape, including each level above in the tower. You must place the building blocks in rectangular directions. Placing them diagonally is not allowed. You must place each building block so that there is no hollow space under it. They must fully fill the tower. Modified rules for different numbers of players. Single-player game. Gameplay is the same, except you play against chance. The block you use for the next step is determined by rolling the block die. If one of the blocks is completely gone, roll again. If you run out of blocks and fail to finish the tower, you lose. 3 to 4 players game. It is the same as the 2-player game, but in this version, players select the blocks for the opponent immediately to their right. For this option, it is also necessary to have 2 sets of the game. You can also set a time limit for placing blocks to make the game faster. Variations of Qubolo. For additional difficulty, do not use the Next Now card, and instead immediately give your opponent the next block to play with. Agree that each player has 1 chance to look at the other's tower at any stage of the game. Divide the pile of blocks fairly according to their shapes. Each player starts with an identical set of blocks, and play continues as normal, with each opponent choosing the other's blocks. In this way, only the order of the blocks, not the type of blocks, is affected as the towers are built. Play Qubolo completely randomly with 2 or more players, using the block die, as in the single-player version, for selecting each block. In this variation, you can also play cooperatively and build a single tower. This option is most suitable for players of very different ages, i.e., young children with adults. Create your own game with the thousands of ways to build the blocks together.